Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Today you find us sat inside the Jaguar Type D. This car ranges from something around 1954 to 1957. It looks like a short nose version. The later versions of the car with the long nose, which you'll see transcribed into the Type E or the E-Type that we used the last time out at Le Mans. This car has a classic history of being a Le Mans winner, and not just once. I believe it was 3 times in a dominating era in the mid-50s. And then, due to a massive accident involving Mercedes, where Mercedes pulled their main teams, Jaguar pulled their main teams and just left privateers running, it left room for the Fords and, well, it was mainly Ferraris to then pick up and start to win the championships through till the fateful date of 1967, which we'll talk about in later videos. But the D-Type holds all the early hallmarks of the E-Type. You can see where the development came. It was an open-top car. And we're going to see how this competes around Le Mans as a GR4 racer. Is it good enough to grind? Is it good enough to earn money? Is it something you'd enjoy driving around the circuit? Let's go take a look at the setup. We're going to be shod with racing soft tyres today. Gives us a total performance points of 674.81. A total of 415 brake horsepower. So it comes in somewhere around about the GR4s on power, although we're going to have older style technology tyres, I would have thought, so they probably won't have the same grip as a regular GR4 or a regular race car, even a road car that we're taking to the track. Interesting to note, though, I have extended the width of the car by increasing the track width. That's the wide fitment of wheels, not wide themselves, just fitting wide. So we have fully customizable suspension, nothing altered. Fully customizable rear diff, which you'll know is set to the customary 555. No downforce in this car. This is pre any set of aerodynamic interventions through the race car world. ECU fully customizable, set to 100 with no ballast adjustments at all. Racing transmission set to 310. I think we'll be lucky if this has got a 5th speed based on its age. We've got a racing intercooler and a high-end supercharger. Try and say that. The only other adjustment here that we can do was added the brake controller. Everything else is standard. There is no clutch available, so we got bore up installed, titanium connecting rods and pistons, racing crankshaft, high compression pistons. There's no bodywork adjustments. This is as light as it gets, but we did get to increase body rigidity. Let's take it to the track. Welcome to the World Touring Car 700. Settings for today's race. Assists. Traction control will be on 1, ABS on default. Active stability management will be on, and counter steer assistance will be on strong. Controller settings, these are personal to me. Controller steering sensitivity 5. Force feedback max torque 5. Force feedback sensitivity 6. I did have a crack at this yesterday, and it took me 3 or 4 times before I gave up. We've had a little bit of a rethink. We know what we're going to try and do. We know it's capable. I was just falling foul of things like weather, so there might be some outtakes at the end involving some profanity. But please just overlook that, and we'll get on with the race. We hate to think what this is going to be like. Oh, we got to standard. See if that makes any sort of difference. Standard wheels. It didn't seem to like the extra width. Get out of here then. We've reset them to standard, and we'll dive straight back into the race, and we'll tell them as we've gone in. Going to leave the fuel map on 1 for starters. We're going to see where we can get to. And we just got to watch that fuel map. Now, a little bit of honesty here. We've attempted to put this car into the first lap with those wheels set to wide, and it fought me at every opportunity, so we've just whacked the wheels back to standard fitment. and the car drives just so much better. You'd have thought the extra stance would have made it work, but I'm guessing the way that GT does things is it's going to cause conflict between the wheels and the body and unsettle the car. So we've undone that change and we're on it now. So what's the top speed going to be? Is it going to be something in the region of 180, maybe 190? Looks like we're going to get 3 laps out of it, which would be lovely. The old Type D, 175, 180, 190 mile an hour. That is absolutely impressive. We're going to brake early. Even braking early, we ended up going in late. Very active under acceleration, this beast. So you can see we've put 23 odd miles in. That's a little bit of practice, a little bit of probably about 4 laps. The car is not very friendly, so you need to be careful when we get to the weather. We're going to brake early, which is the first sign here, the big one, the 200. We're in 8th place, so this old beast is doing well. Just going to whack it down to fuel map 6. Just going to give ourselves a chance of getting all the fuel we need to get to the end of the 3rd lap, which is our primary point. If it hasn't rained at the end of the 3rd lap and we don't need to change tyres, we'll think about conserving fuel that little bit more and seeing if we can get to the finish on a 1-stop. That would be tremendous, wouldn't it? It really would. Excuse me, feeling chesty. Excuse me. As we go past Mr. Kawakami, number 135. We're going to chase the Aston down. No other Jaguars in this race, which is a shame. Oh, braking so deep into there. And we picked up a half-second penalty, which is just rude, really. We're cutting that inside apex. I've got to brake earlier. You'd have thought with 4 laps practice I'd have realised I've got to brake earlier, but oh, this car feels so good, but it just doesn't slow down. We have to think about what we're going to do with tyres. I'm guessing these tyres will do 3 laps. With a bit of wet, they might be better than 3 laps. We're into 7th place, 11 seconds behind the leaders. We've got fuel for 4 laps if we keep it where we are. But I'm going to open the fuel up. Oh, we're going to get more penalties now. We'll see where we go. We're going to carry those penalties. We'll take them on the chin, 1.5. Braking at the end of the pit lane. Oh, listen to that Aston. To be able to hear that over the straight 6 engine of the Jaguar in. I believe it's a straight 6. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it was the same straight 6 engine that was taken up by the E-Type. We can manage a 1.5 second penalty down the bottom of the hill. I'm sure we can. Sky's starting to look like it's glazing over a bit. Going to show the Aston some rear wing of the Jaguar. Looking to take 5th place from Mr. Healy. Looking for that braking marker on the 200. There it is. Holy hell, it wants to eat me. It wants to spit me out. Oh, I thought it was going so well, so comfortably. It's just got no downforce, has it? That's what's missing. Under acceleration, it just bites you. Oh, like the E-Type before it, or after this. Not really sure it's going to make a grinder. The qualifying factor is whether it's going to win the race. Oh. And that's the soft technology tyres that we've got from the 1950s. They really have replicated that well. I'm going to have to just manage this with a little bit of the old fuel map on 6. That'll just stop it. There we go, we can quite reliably boot it, and it now puts it back right. We're into 4th place, some 8 seconds behind the leader. Looks like tyres will definitely do 3 laps. Let's go to the old rain radar now. There we are. See if we've got any rain coming in. We haven't. Oh, Mr. Blazan gives a bit of a twitch in front of us. Going to break down into here early and remember what happened last time. There'll be another half-second penalty, I bet you. Nothing at this time. Let's get this penalty scrubbed off. Mr. Blazan will come back at us. No rain on the radar. We're going to go round for the 3rd lap. There'll be another penalty. We didn't get one this time, thankfully. And the rain comes in from the right-hand side. We can see it from the southeast corner, which is probably good for where we're going for. That's quite late rain in the race, to be honest. Mr. McEwen has gone to the pits. Mr. Portilla ahead of us. We put in the fastest lap of the race at 4:14. Fully understand how that lap, well, can, it's fuel map 6, isn't it? Fuel map 6 to manage the power. Doesn't look like there's a massive amount of rain in that rain cloud. But what we have to manage here is this car is an absolute beast. Under acceleration, it does like to spin out. So if there's really any warning that we need to pick up some traction, it will definitely be to take wet tyres. We'll drop the fuel map once we finish these straights. We'll just get this out of the way. It looks like there is some heavy stuff coming in. We just don't know how this thing's going to react in the rain. It's moving slightly north. So I've watched those blue clouds move the way to the north, and potentially we're going to miss all the heavy stuff. There's a couple of short interludes of intense rain, but nothing long staying, one would suggest. We don't need to be spinning out now, do we? Come on. wet hasn't even started and we've just lost best part of 6 seconds to the leader. Frustration. Get that fuel map back down. We're into the wet weather now. The cloud cover's just come over. We've got time to win this. The main principle of giving this car a run out is to get it in the competitor field for the Ford versus Ferrari video, which you all know is coming up. This isn't from the first 3 laps. I know this isn't the kind of car you're going to want to grind unless you like that sitting on, oh look at those two leaning on each other, the sitting on the edge kind of, edge of your seat sort of, oh can I make it, can I get there kind of feeling. It looks like we're going to pass straight through this rain cloud with only a light amount of rain. There's the rain coming now, we can just see it. Should we take a look after this corner of what the internal view looks like of this car? Look at that, there we go, open top racer. There's that shaky shudder of the car, look, the reflection on the bonnet. It's absolutely stunning. I sometimes think I should be racing more from this position. This with VR would be absolutely I don't like the way the old windscreen wiper flicks above the top of the screen there, look. That seems a bit daft. But I love the way they've modelled it. Right, are we doing one more lap? We've got 1.1 of fuel, but I don't think those tyres are going to make it. And genuinely, oh, but we're on the clear, so we're going to be taking, yeah, let's get into the pits. Let's take the new tyres. Oh dear. You know how to mess this up, Widow. We're going to change it. We're going to keep it on the, we're going to go mediums, and then we're going to take the fuel. We're going to get it on 6, and we're going to go. We're going to attempt the one stopper on the fly. We're going to see if we can get 4 laps out of a set of mediums. We're going to start in about 7th place, so I guess we'll come out in about 7th place when everybody's stopped. Look at that old beast. I'd really like to get it lower, see if it could have more stability. They've even put air jacks into this thing. Look at it. That's technology into an older car. Let's go. So that's the end of the cloud. We're on mediums. We're in 10th place. We've got some making up to do. But we're on fuel map 6, so we're going to have the fuel to get to the end. We're just going to be a bit more controlled about what we do for the next 4 laps. There's Mr. Plazan. Because I think I'm pushing this car too far into the corners. That was rude. However, let's keep going. 25.7 seconds behind the leaders. See if that adjusts anything. We've got damage to the left front wheel. We're not really making any gains on anybody on fuel map 6, but we're going to brake on the 200 again. Try and do this properly. Use his draft. Just don't know when the rain's going to come or if it's going to come tremendously. We're hoping that the rain we get isn't going to be enough to force us into a pit. What we'd like to do is be able to just slip along our way to the end of the race now without pitting. We know we've got the fuel. We know we're very capable of doing it. If we just tone it down on the driving style and not try and push the car too much, it'll make it feel like we're racing in the 1940s, 1950s, 1960s. What I'm never amazed at, and I trust you as the audience, is your knowledge is absolutely phenomenal when it comes to things like this. So over the last few days I've had some comments about Le Mans itself and the historic, some people giving their opinions, and I don't care what you think, I like to hear it. So I'm not going to object to your opinions, is what I mean. I do care what you think, but I'm not going to object to your opinions. There's been some people commenting on Ford versus Ferrari and Carroll Shelby and etc. about how they changed motorsport. If they hadn't been involved with motorsport, where would we be? You know, especially the Ford brand. They did some that era of 1967 and that race, although depicted quite interestingly in the movie, was probably 10 times as severe as that out in the real world. But like today, we're surprised that we don't have quite such manufacturers in Formula One. But back in the day, it was the place to be. There were so many manufacturers, but they still came and went. So the incident with Mercedes that caused Mercedes to retire from all form of racing was a car crash which killed the driver and 80 spectators. And that wasn't uncommon at Le Mans. For that many people to die, I mean, safety fences weren't there. It was just, I mean, straw bales, wasn't it, at some point? They didn't have things like emergency reaction crews, etc. People went along and they stood on the side of the road. You know, they sat on the hay bales on the corners, and cars went off and ploughed into them. So we're up to 7th place following Mr. Healy. There is more rain on the radar coming. We're progressing nicely. There's Miss McEwen just come out. Mr. Healy has just been savage. We're gonna just make our way round Mr. Healy and dispatch him for dealing us an uncertain amount of damage, but he didn't give us anything totally. So see if we can stick with Miss McEwen. I might get a penalty there for cutting that corner. I'll be disappointed. See if we can... We've got the fuel now. Yes, it looks like we've got a strong bank of rain. It doesn't look like we're going to get away with it in totality, but there's only 11 or so minutes left, so it could rush straight past us. Miss McEwen's coming down the inside. She's going to take that. I'm not going to fight for it. Just going to sit in the slipstream. That creates such a hole for this car to suck into and blow past. But I think I really want to dig out the Ford versus Ferrari movie and give it another watch. Maybe give myself some knowledge before I actually attempt to do the actual final race. Because it's all well and good here, me touting it as a thing, but I need to know about it, don't I? And to make it a fuller picture, if I can give you some sort of history or some sort of bits and pieces on the movie, it would be more reflective of the history and make me at least seem a bit more informed. So I'm not actually talking horse poop to you. 18 seconds in 4th place behind the leaders. We just got McEwen. We've got damage at the rear. Miss McEwen just rear-ended the hell out of us. Maybe that took her by surprise. She wasn't anticipating us braking early because we have no brakes. Thank you, Miss McEwen. That was much appreciated. We are going all the way to the end if we can make it. Miss McEwen going to slide back down the inside. I hope you've got engine damage. See what we got in the way of fuel. We've got 3 laps of fuel left. I'm probably going to pick this up because we've got 2 laps to do. And it looks like we're going to miss all the strong stuff. The rain is about to start again, so let's not overly count the chickens. When we're sure that the rain has passed, we're going to open this up to fuel map 1 on the straighty bits again. See if we can close that gap a little bit. We are expecting everybody else to pit, even though there's going to be no more rain. We're playing a bit of cat and mouse, bit of a waiting game here. We are banking on everybody else pitting. And if we've done the correct thing and just manage our fuel correctly, we're on the right tyres, we could have this just right. So I'm not anticipating rain. Fuel at 2.7 is good. When we get back round to the Mulsanne straight, we will look at changing to fuel map 1 to give us some straight line speed. We don't need any more incidents. We've driven a bit like a donkey to start the day, so let's see where we go. Tyres are doing okay. As with anything, folks, if you want to change the setup, please feel free to do so. All I'm trying to present you with is perfectly drivable cars, and the sun's out and it looks like we're all good to go. So let's get that fuel map up to 1. And let's manage this all the way to the end. We don't want to be losing this, so 14 seconds behind the leaders. 2 laps. They need to be pitting at the end of this lap for us to have any impact. Portillo, Mendoza, Yamanaka. If McEwen isn't pitting, we've got 2.2 seconds over her. We're only going to have 1.5 laps to do, and we're going to have 2 laps of fuel, so we're going to be pretty much there or dusted. One would hope. Even braking at that range, the car didn't feel good about braking that. We need to brake earlier, I think, but we're on for the fastest lap of the race. We hold that at 4:17.031. I'm surprised at that. Whoops. Let's keep going. 11 seconds down. We're going to get a sight of them fairly soon. Going to brake early. Let's see if Mr. Yamanaka will give us the same sort of pleasures as Miss McKenna did. McKenna? I meant McEwen. Gonna just drop that to fuel map 3 now until we get back to the Mulsanne again. 9.4, 9.3. She does go around the corners nicely, look. 8 seconds behind. And we've got a visual on the first and second. They're not far behind, away from each other, look. Line astern. We're hoping they're both pitting on this lap. Five seconds up on the fastest lap. That's quite a time. We're used to winning these races by a minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes. Sometimes by a lap, and they've gone into the pits, it looks like, and that's on schedule. There we go. We just need to make sure we make these corners. We've got this one lap to go, and this will be our run for the end. We've got 1.4 laps of fuel, a 4:10. So it's definitely a very capable car. Just needs a better driver. Miss McEwen has come with us. She is not pitting for the final round. She's one stopping, same as us, so 11 seconds ahead. It's 3 minutes to go, so it's not gonna be the slowest car we've used. But we were really lucky with the weather on this occasion, weren't we? Very slidey. So Miss McEwen chasing us down in second place, 11 seconds behind us. She's gaining. So the D-Type itself has a history of winning this race between, I think it's 1954 and 57, if my memory serves me well. I believe there was only something like 400 of these cars ever made, if I can quote my memory correctly, of which 100 were made as a late production model, so they had the extended nose, words to that effect. That nose, as we said earlier in the program, reflected in the E-Type, the later model that came out and was more of a classic sports car in today's world, but it has a racing pedigree all of its own. But this car now trades on the open market. If you've got a fully working one, in the multi-millions, 3 to 4 million will get you a fairly decent spec car. But they are very much collectible and still very much raceable, and they take them to Goodwood, etc. The historic Le Mans, I'm sure you'll see them at, but with a price tag of £4 million attached, oh my lord, you wouldn't want to see one get dinged. Miss McEwen would not want to be a battering ramming one of these, would she, with her C7? So with 13 seconds in the lead, we've got the fuel, the sun's shining. I'd like to finish the race in the cockpit view, just as something a little bit special, a little bit different. Take the gratification of the crowd as we go through. The applause, the shouting, the cheering will be tremendous if we can hear it. Very much more a relaxed style, a relaxed drive. A little bit wide there. Miss McEwen not putting any pressure on, dropping back to 14 seconds behind us. I believe we're off the target time for the fastest lap, but a 4:10 certainly would bring it home. Once you've got settled into the lower pace, you'll make sure this car is a suitably good driver. I don't know whether it makes it feel like a true sports car of its time. I'd like to think GT7 certainly has captured the spirit of it, and in VR this would be awesome. I'd love to know your feedback as to what it looks like inside with VR. Another planned purchase for the Widdowmaker channel would be a VR. A little bit of a drift at the end, bit of style and show for the crowd. And as we come over the line, a comfortable victory, some 15 seconds in the lead. The D-Type Jag wins again at Le Mans. A great little car, but not a grinder in my world, one would suggest. So 30 minutes and 47 seconds, not the slowest car we've ever had. Didn't lap anybody, but even the slowest car was 2 minutes 24. An unusual Mr. Lopez at the rear. We got the fastest lap of the race on lap 6 of 4 minutes 10.314. And cash was delivered. The full 825. The old bounty is dotting up. And we get a 4-star ticket for today. Happy days. Well, folks, as we always say at this time, it's up to you what you do. This is a historic car for historic Le Mans. It's not something I would use as a daily grinder. It's far too twitchy, but it would be good to mess with it and make it good. It's capable of winning the race in the GR4s. It returns the full cash value. It gets the fastest lap of the race. It just needs to be more reliable for me. I don't know what it'd be like in the rain, because as you saw, we didn't get anything much of rain. And there we have it. It's up to you what you do. It's up to you how you enjoy your time grinding. We're just trying to make it the best time possible. So with that, folks, we'll see you on the next one. All the best. Take care.